I went from being the last guy drafted, Mr. Irrelevant. Now I'm going to start as a rookie in the season opener. And, going to Miami, looking across that field, looking at Dan Marino, a guy that I had idolized my entire childhood, and I'm playing against him my rookie year, and I'm starting for the New England Patriots. That was like the most memorable moment. All the Super Bowls and the great playoff wins and all that. But that right there was just kind of, I don't know. It was just, it's something I'll never forget.
What's up, everybody? It's LaVar Arrington here, bringing you another exciting edition of Up On Game Presents Conversations with a Legend. Love it. All right, now, you see the new digs. Make sure you go to anywhere where you subscribe or get your apps and stuff like that. Download Brinks TV. It's a new partner of Up On Game. We're really excited about it. We got some great content coming your way. And yeah, let's get moving. Let's get started. All right. I got a wonderful human being coming on and joining the show today. A very distinguished man. Some people get offended if they're ever called irrelevant. And it can be considered a derogatory term at times. But this Mr. Irrelevant actually is the first one to ever win a Super Bowl. And yes, he's a Mr. Irrelevant that was very relevant. He got drafted into the National Football League. I want to bring in my guy, Marty Moore, Super Bowl champ. All right. Again, Mr. Irrelevant, but super, super relevant. I appreciate you coming into the show. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to be on the show, but life is good, man. Life is good. My daughter is just got hired as the executive assistant to the New York Islanders owner. So she's going to be in charge of the owner's suite and kind of being up there in New York. And my son's playing safety for University of Miami of Oxford in Ohio, and my other daughter's a senior. So I'm close to getting them all off the payroll, LaVar. It's a good feeling.
I hear that. I know that's right. That's a wonderful thing. So you got one that plays football and they're moving around. You're originally, where are you living right now? Because you're originally a Kentucky guy.
I am, yeah. So I'm living in Lexington, Kentucky right now.
Okay, all right.
And when I retired, I got into medical sales. So I have been managing medical equipment, device. I've been basically in the operating for the last 20 years.
That's big business.
It's a big business. It's, I tell everybody, I'm like, if it's got titanium, I've sold it, I've implanted it, I've watched it be been implanted. So it's been a good career post football. And, I got involved with the Legends about 4 or 5 years ago. So that's kind of a good thing, kind of bring me back into the game a little bit.
Talk to me a little bit about that. You got involved with the Legends community, the Legends program. I was a part of the which I'm so proud of. I was one of the regional directors when it first got launched and lifted off of the ground, and it's grown so much since the beginning of it. How has that been for you? You mentioned being a part of it all over again and being involved. What got you interested in joining the Legends community, and how have you been a part of it?
Well, so when I retired and my son turned 5, I started a youth football league in Lexington, Kentucky, and we grew it to about 1,300 kids. And Chad Pennington kind of came on about 2 years after I had started it. And Chad got involved, and then Chad was involved in the Legends. So I think the Legends had been maybe 2 years in, and then Chad asked me if I would like to be involved, and that's how I got involved, and it has definitely evolved. We've all talked about, leaving the game, and some guys leave in a good, frame of mind, and other guys, they struggle. And the Legends community, I think, is a great thing. Tracy Perlman does an unbelievable job just quarterbacking the entire thing, but the directors, the coordinators, just pumping out the information to the guys. I try to meet with all the different chapters, from the PA to the alumni to just putting on my own events. But it's hard when guys leave the game. Some guys, they get a pat on the back, get to go see the owner, see their teammates, and other guys just get a hefty trash bag and clean out your locker and, try to find another job. And so I really feel like it's keeping guys engaged with what the benefits are to them, and also just the camaraderie that we had as players. There's nothing like it. No one can ever duplicate it. I've been in medical sales, go to national sales meetings, and there's nothing like playing on a team in the NFL, running out in front of fans and stadiums and all the lights and everything that's a part of it. And we're just trying to make sure those guys know that they're loved, that people care about them, and that we want to make sure that they're okay. It's a special thing, and to be a part of it, I think, is just something everyone needs to recognize, that their legacy, they're a legend in their hometown, their peewee football, wherever it is. You play in the NFL, you are a legend and a legacy guy, regardless of how many years you played. Just being a part of that brotherhood.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think those are beautiful words, and yeah, to be able to represent, what we've been able to do and accomplish is super, super awesome. So keep up the good work, obviously, and that's a good deal. You mentioned starting your youth league, and soon Chad Pennington gets involved. Now, I won't mention another quarterback because I was just in Lexington not too long ago, and you know where I'm going with this. And it's not Will Levis. It's not Will Levis. All right.
Yeah, man, he left your college, man. You can't be giving him any props.
I love him to death. I'm a tremendously big fan of Will Levis, by the way. And you know what? He sought better opportunities for himself. And we'll touch on that because the whole NIL transfer portal, I'm interested to know your opinion of it. But the quarterback I was speaking of was a number 1 draft pick overall, one hell of a football player, in Tim Couch. You went to Kentucky, and the amount of basketball folklore and so much legacy connected to Wildcat basketball and all those things, but yet it's a football school. They love football there, and football is something that really is a part of the fabric of that community. Can you talk about that a little bit? And I think you missed Couch about maybe a year or so before you got there?
I played with Tim in Cleveland for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I played with your buddy Courtney Brown.
Indeed.
That year you got drafted. It was your rookie year, I think. I think you and Courtney got drafted the same year.
That's correct.
But so I played a year with Tim in Cleveland, and then I went back to the Patriots and finished up. But Kentucky football is huge. When I was coming out of high school, I had originally committed to Alabama, and the Kentucky coaches came down and met with me and asked me to just visit Kentucky and just see if I would have a change of heart. And I went down and just fell in love with Lexington and UK, and I was an hour and 15 minutes away from my mom, who could watch me play. But it really started with Rich Brooks. And when Rich Brooks got a hold of the program and they got through there and they went through some bowl games, and then Stoops took over, and many people don't realize he's been here a decade. And we're pumping out 5 or 6 kids to the NFL every year.
Yes, you are.
And we're just, it's when you're in the SEC and you're competing against Tennessee and Georgia and Florida and Alabama, it's a competitive league. But we have started to kind of knock off the Floridas, knock off the Tennessees. Georgia, we haven't gotten there yet, but, the program is in great shape. I feel like if we can draft 5 to 7 guys off Kentucky's roster every year, that's a good sign. And you look at the guys that have been in the league. Josh Allen, he was a first-round pick. Bud Dupree, first-round pick.
Bud Dupree.
The linebacker for Washington, he was a first-round pick. I mean, we have had consistent first-round picks after the last 4 or 5 years. So it's really picking up momentum, and the people in Kentucky love it. I laugh because Coach Calipari got really upset this year when Stoops said we're a football school. That created a little bit of controversy in Lexington. Let me tell you.
Hey, got to protect the brand, That's that whole basketball brand. And speaking of brands, I'd love to know your opinion, your take on branding. Obviously, this is now going to become a forever topic as it applies to athletics, whether it be starting at the youth level and the youth organization, not only the players, but then to high school, not only the high school player, but to the high school itself, and so on and so forth to the college level and on to the pros. But now understanding what branding represents, where do you fall on that? You get to college, you now have this opportunity, which I'll add, and if you want to touch on it right here, that would be fine too. But the whole NIL movement is here, naming, image, and likeness. We'll touch on that, but just talk to me about what you feel about branding. Like, is it important? Is it overstated? Does it belong? Is there a time and place? Where do you see it? Where do you fall on it?
Well, right now I coach high school football. So I see these kids on their Instagram, on their Twitters, on their, TikTok videos. And, it's a different culture than what I grew up in. And the coaches that coached me, Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells, they wouldn't have anything about that. Mm-hmm. But from a high school kid who's trying to get recruited and he's trying to do everything he can to get noticed, because I had this happen with my son. You have to sell your kid. If you're a parent and you think that coach is going to go out there and get your kid recruited, you have blinders on, because if he's not a 4 or 5 star, you're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to get him noticed by the coaches, get him on campus, go out and make phone calls, emails, contact people, and let them know that you want your son to play at that school. So for me, the branding and getting your name out there and generating some publicity and some buzz, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with self-promoting yourself. Guys have been doing it for a long time. I think it's just elevated now. Instead of going to the pros and you had maybe 5 guys on a college team, now you've got high schools and you got these 7-on-7 coaches that are putting these mega teams together. And for you to recruit their kid, you got to give them something. So that's where I see there being an issue, is when adults start using kids to profit themselves. That's what I don't like. I don't, if a corporation wants to do that, I'm fine with it. We sold, we got that little check. Yours was probably a little bit more than mine in the NFL on the PA licensing stuff that we got. But I was okay with that because everybody got something. Mm-hmm. Now you've got some kids getting a lot and some other kids getting nothing. That's where I think the rub's going to come. But from the branding perspective, I think you have to, in this day and age, go out and self-promote yourself to just get exposure for people to recognize your achievements. And I hate to say it, but I feel like college coaches have gotten lazy in the recruiting process.
100%, coach. 100%. That's spot on. But go ahead, expand on that, because that's 100%. I
just, me going through it with my son, and then me also, we've got a 5-star quarterback at my high school, and the kid's been offered by everybody. And I'm thinking, okay, so what's happening with college athletics and with the transfer portal? I think it's even going to make it worse. Mm-hmm. The transfer portal you take a kid who signs at Kentucky, they go through spring practice, coaches say, hey, I don't think you're going to be able to play here. He enters the portal. That kid's now at Division II school, maybe a Division I, not a Power 5, but, one of the mid majors. And now he's taken away from a high school kid scholarship. So now even more so, you got to go out and kind of brand yourself. And like I said, contact. And you really, it's almost like you're dating. The recruiting process has become a dating process because these guys aren't picking up film, and having sessions of we're going to watch these kids from Kentucky and Ohio and, so forth. It's just really become, let me give this kid 20 seconds. If I don't see what I want in 20 seconds, I'm moving on. And if we don't see what we want, we're just going to go transfer portal. So that's where I think the high school kids he's even at more of a disadvantage, in my opinion.
No, you're 100% correct. I tell guys all the time, this transfer portal has really, really changed the way things are approached. I mean, you're right. They're recruiting college now. There's no reason to recruit high school if I can use those scholarships on ready-made to go college players. Everybody's trying to win right now. These coaches need to keep their jobs and be able to pay their bills. So they're not looking at it from the standpoint of development of kids as the model was when we were coming out of school. That seemed to be the model is you go find good kids, or some of them could be questionable, but if their grades are good enough and they need an opportunity, you develop these guys, you mold them, you shape them into fine men that lead the program. Now it really, and I'd hate to feel like I'm talking out of turn, but now it just feels like it's almost like the pros. I got to get the best player that I can get, and I can either do it through free agency, which now seemingly you'll get them more through free agency than you will through the draft. The draft being high school sports and free agency being they're already in college. I heard a coach say to me one time, we have to recruit our own kids. They're in the school, they're playing for the team, and they still have to recruit them because they could get lured away by a better opportunity by going through the portal.
Yeah, I mean, that's you're 100%. You go to college and you think you got here's the issue I have. I played for a guy named Bill Curry, and Bill Curry molded men, right? You played for Paterno. Yeah. These guys were there to help mold us into young men. We're 18 years old. We still, my dad died when I was a teenager. I was looking for a father figure. Other guys on the team were looking for father figures. We were looking for people to put us in the right direction and to teach us how to be men. And I think that's being lost right now in college sports because when we got to the pros, we were men. We had gone through that 5-year, 4-year process of kind of becoming men. And then we went to the pros and we understood it's a profession, it's a business. Well, now these kids are 18 years old and they're not men yet. I mean, 18 years old, yeah, you can vote and go to the Army and you can serve our country, but you're still not a man, in my opinion. You still got some maturing to do and some things to do. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a detriment to our young men in this country is we need to figure it out because we're taking it into a business before they're ready. Mm-hmm. And, these kids, they're at the school, maybe they're a second string and they're like, man, I'm just going to enter the portal, or I'm going to start calling the guys who recruited me when I was in college. And I'm just going to reach out to them, see if they want me, and I'll enter the portal. And that's what you're talking about. These coaches feel like, well, if that kid's not committed, why should I be committed to him? So it's a slippery slope. We want the kids to be able to have some money and use their likeness and their branding. But on the flip side of that, I think we also owe it to those kids to mentor them and to make sure that they are successful in life, because football is not going to last forever. We all know average career is still 3 years in the NFL. And, there's I did a thing, LaVar, it was 9,000 plus kids play college, and there's less than 200 that make it in the NFL every year. It's like less than 2% of the collegiate football players make it in the NFL. So that's a lot of kids that are being lost. And I think we owe it to them to do better.
If you could give advice to a guy, to a youth, or are you high school? Your high school level?
Yes, yeah. So I'm coaching high school right now. Yeah.
What advice, knowing that this is the world, this new world of college athletics, this is the brave new world of what high school athletes will have to deal with. What do you believe is the most critical piece of advice that you need to instill with the players that you are guiding on a daily basis, knowing that NIL and transfer portal and all the things that you just mentioned, the sheer volume of guys that are not going to make it into the pros? What is the most valuable piece of information that you give?
I tell my kids, I'm like, grades first. Like, your grades are going to carry you. They're going to be with you for the rest of your professional career. You got to get your grades. And then I tell them, you need to look at the experience. Okay. The whole college experience. Is it something that, you're going there? Are you going there to get an education? You're going there to play football, but what kind of experience do you have? You got 4 years to do it. So if you're going to go there, you need to look at the school, the academic part of it, the social part of it, and then you also have to look at the coaches that you're going to be guided under. Mm-hmm. So to me, when I was giving my son advice, and the advice I give to the high school kids is it a good fit for you to have the best college experience you can have, because you don't get it back. You don't get a redo on the next 4 to 5 years. So make sure that you get that experience and you get your grades. And then if you are fortunate enough to make it in the NFL, God bless you, because injuries can happen in the blink of an eye. And you need to make sure that you prepare for your future after football first. Mm-hmm. And then if the other things come, then that's a dream come true. And it's what we all dream about as kids, and run around the backyard and play with our friends and pretend we're, Dan Marino when I was a kid, and John Elway, and, those guys, that's who I ran around the backyard wanting to be. And hell, I played against Marino and Kelly and Aikman and all those guys when I got into the league. But I just tell them, like, the dream can be reality, but you got to work your ass off to get there. So make sure that you get these things done, and then with hard work, you'll get to your final goal and your dream. But don't go in there thinking you're going to get the dream first, because you're going to be sadly disappointed if it doesn't work out.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And talking to pro linebacker Marty Moore, Mr. Irrelevant, Mr. I mean, there's a lot of guys that you could say are Mr. This that played on the teams you played for in New England, but certainly a linebacker, a heart and soul of a team, of a defense, is their linebackers. This is Marty Moore. Marty, can I ask you, and having that career, I never experienced winning a Super Bowl, but having the experience of playing at such a high level and to have the ultimate success at that level can mean a lot of great. You just mentioned experiences and all of those different things. What is, if you could say, one of your most amazing or most memorable experiences that you've had? It could be life. It could be because of, the road and the journey you've been on. It could be to the game, within the game. What is the most memorable thing that you're most proud of in your time?
Well, the thing that I remember the most, was my rookie year. And I'd gone into training camp being Mr. Irrelevant. Everyone's like, man, you got no shot to make the team. There's no way, you're gonna go beyond a year if you make it on the practice squad. And so I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna go out here. I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna do what I've done my whole career. And so we're playing Green Bay in the last preseason game, and Todd Collins gets hurt as a weak side linebacker, the Will. And Bill Parcells looks at me and he goes, "You're going to go to the Will." And I said, "I haven't played that all preseason." He goes, "I don't care. You're going in." So I went in and I had like 16 tackles in the last preseason game. And I'm just happy that I had a good game. And I'm happy that, I made the team the next day when the Grim Reaper let me walk by him and didn't give me a trash bag. So I'm all excited. And then Al Groh comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, you're starting at the Will linebacker against Miami next week." And I'm like, holy mackerel. I went from being the last guy drafted, Mr. Irrelevant. Now I'm going to start as a rookie in the season opener. And, going to Miami, looking across that field, looking at Dan Marino, a guy that I had idolized my entire childhood, and I'm playing against him my rookie year, and I'm starting for the New England Patriots. That was like the most memorable moment. All the Super Bowls and the great playoff wins and all that, but that right there was just kind of, I don't know. It was just it's something I'll never forget. Being a rookie and having all those things line up the way they did. I just never would have dreamt that that story would have happened.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so not to stay too mushy, but I asked this of all the legends that I interview because it's something that's very important to me. Getting this answer will last forever. We'll be long gone from here, but it will continue to ring and throughout the history and the annals of, well, whoever is willing to look back and check it out. What do you want? What do you want Marty Moore to be remembered as? What do you want people at the final day? They're talking about you. They're memorializing you. What is it that you would love to hear the people who are speaking on you say about Marty Moore?
I would like for them to say that I was a selfless person. That you got me, LaVar.
Yeah. Oh, hey, it's a real one, and it'll last forever. That's what I love about this question because it's a real one, and I know what you're feeling, and that's why.
Well, my dad died in my arms when I was 16 years old, and I'm done everything for my kids. And man, I feel like I've made a lot of sacrifices for my kids. Oh man, I feel like I made a lot of sacrifices for my kids, and I just want people to remember me as just a selfless person. Just somebody that helped out and did put other people first, and just was a nice person and a kind person to everybody. And that's, if I can get remembered, as being that person, then I feel like I've accomplished my goals in life, and and have left a good legacy, and something for my kids to look up to, my grandchildren to look up to, and just people to look up and say, Marty Moore, he was a hard-nosed football player, but a damn good person.
I love it. See, so now we have your words. now we have your words, right? So that's a beautiful thing, and we can be able to celebrate you, even now. So it's a pleasure. I have nothing left for you, man. Do you want to promote? Do you want to promote anything? I was just in Lexington not too long ago, and we were donating Pace-O-Matic, the shots out to Pace-O-Matic, the title sponsor of the show. We work together and collaborate, and we go around and we help first responders and military veterans and different things like that. And this in particular was for the flood victims that took place in eastern Kentucky. I mean, you mentioned, obviously having strong ties there. I'm sure you had some type of involvement.
Oh yeah, no, we went down as a coaching staff and we pulled Breathitt County's football helmets, shoulder pads, their entire locker room, and put it in a truck. Spent 5 or 6 hours pressure washing all the uniforms for the kids and going and cleaning them. Cintas came in and washed them all. I had friends of mine lose their entire house. Water just knocked it right off the foundation. Devastation is huge down there. So that's great that you did that. I really appreciate it. The people in Kentucky appreciate it. I'm not really involved with different charities. When people ask me, I'm always willing to help. So I get asked and I help and I volunteer and do as much as I can for that. I think different people need different needs at different times. And if someone calls me and asks me to help, I help. So that's kind of my thing. I try to rally people behind me to help. And the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame is something that Frank Minifield started. And we do some things for charities locally in Lexington. And Frank did some stuff for the flood victims as well. So it's all hands on deck in those situations.
Awesome. Marty Moore, everyone. Make sure you keep up with what he's got going on. If you're in the area with his football, what's the name of the football team?
Lexington Christian Academy.
Bam. Lexington Christian Academy. All right. So what's the record so far this year?
Oh, man. Well, I will say this year we're struggling a little bit. We went to the state finals 2 years in a row.
Okay.
We are 3-4 right now.
All right. That's not bad.
We
That's
had
not
some
good.
injuries. Yeah, I do feel like we're going to get things back on track, but we had about 5 starters get hurt, and it's been a little rough, man. When you're down to your 3rd-string quarterback, 4th-string quarterback in high school, it's tough, man. It's tough.
Sure. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Well, good luck to you guys. Good luck to you. Appreciate you coming on, man. This is Marty Moore, linebacker, Mr. Irrelevant, went to the New England Patriots, got a Super Bowl, played for the Cleveland Browns, played for the Patriots again. Number one in our hearts, obviously, as a dope dude. And appreciate you coming on, man. This is Up On Game Presents Conversations with a Legend on Brinks TV. All right, make sure you check out Brinks. Brought to you by Pace-O-Matic. Appreciate you guys. Until next time, I'm LaVar Arrington. Yeah, talk to you next time, all right? Take care.